Good morning. Welcome to Morning Coffee Live. We're going to jump back into the 2024 annual marketing report from Nielsen. Um, we talked about it last 2 days. I'm just going to finish up the report here this morning. So go ahead and put that up on screen. So yesterday we covered the section three of ROI starts with the reach, and we talked quickly about. Did we get the reach? Yes, we talked about long-term goals, need a long-term focus, and then we have ROI starts with reach. I don't think we actually went through this, but honestly, okay, I believe we should be right about. I don't remember where we finished yesterday. Okay, well, this is kind of boring, so let's just take a quick look real quickly. Can't engage with audiences you never reached. Yep, bear with me just a moment. I'll figure out where we actually left off now, because I just totally blanked. Okay, so we actually stopped here with section two. So section three, ROI starts with reach. Not the most exciting section of the report, in my opinion, but once again, there's still some good information though. So we will jump in. Yeah. Alrighty. So here we go. On target reach for digital ads vary widely by region. Can't gauge with audiences you never reach. Compared with less fragmented times, however, reaching audiences today requires a much deeper understanding of how they engage with media, especially across digital channels. By looking at the nuances of each channel and the context of how audiences actually engage with them, you're able to understand how they work together to achieve holistic campaign goals. The complexity of today's media landscape is on full display in Nielsen's 2023 digital ad measurement benchmark data, especially in North America, where the average on target rate for digital ads is just 65%, 64 in the US, 66 in Canada. Averages are higher across Europe and highest in select countries in Latin America. Across all markets, however, on target rates are higher across mobile than desktop. Quality person level audience data can greatly improve marketers' efforts in reaching their intended audiences. So, the on target rates, one of the reasons I think they're lower in the US than they are in most of the rest of the world is we have access to so many platforms and to so much digital media. Um, the people aren't concentrated in a single area. What you'll find is that based on individual traits of a group, whether that be interest or age or you know socioeconomic status or what state they live in, what city they live in, etc., they're going to be on different platforms because the platforms are not universal. Here, our digital platforms are greatly varied in the US. Whereas when you go to other countries, they can be quite limited. You're going to have one or two major platforms that everybody's on. Most of the European world, my understanding is uses predominantly the American platforms. But then most of the Asian world uses its own, especially like China has its own dedicated platforms. Very easy to actually get on target reach in China as long as you have people to work with in China who can get you on the platform because you're not allowed to post on their social media if you don't work outside if you work outside of there. But once again, most countries have just limited social media channels they're using. And so it's easier to get in front of them. Down in LATAM, you have just a couple of main platforms where everybody is. With the US, we are so broad. It's not funny. I mean, even take this stream, for example. I'm streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. I've been putting these on to Rumble. I've been, you know, shorts. We have TikTok, YouTube shorts. We have so many options, right? There's obviously also Reddit, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat. We have so many platforms in the US that it's pretty hard to actually get in front of, you know, the whole audience you want. And so when I actually see that you have a 72%, 72, sorry, 67% ads on target in the US, 64 in the US overall, it's actually not terrible. It's not great, obviously, but it's not the end of the world. Globally, CTV penetration doesn't mean more streaming yet. So connected TVs are to the point where they're basically almost all TVs we see these days. If you go to Walmart and buy yourself a $200 TV, it's going to be a CTV. So, given their growing reach, CTV and streaming represent a massive burgeoning opportunity for marketers. At the end of 2023, for example, streaming had grown to account for 36% of TV usage in the US and 24% of TV in Mexico. In terms of ad spend, Group M notes that CTV is where all the upside in TV resides, forecasting compound annual growth of 9.5 to 45.8 billion in 2.28 in 2028. Ooh, I need my coffee. While CTV adoption has inspired significant streaming growth in some markets, it has not yet had the same effect everywhere. CTV penetration in Denmark, for example, was 56% halfway through 2023, but video on demand and streaming accounted for just 8% of video consumption across devices. And in Poland, where CTV penetration is 42% and audiences spend almost 4 hours with TV each day, they only spend 15 minutes of that time with streaming content. So the big thing is CTV penetration is 42% in Poland, but audiences there only watch 15 minutes of stream per day. It's a trend. It's going to change. You're going to see CTV or the concept thereof, streaming take over. Eventually, it's going to become, I would say, 90% of the market minimum. Broadcast is going to, if not go away entirely, it just at least fade into minimal existence. Um, it's culture. It's also very age dependent. The younger your audience skews, the higher your streaming skews. The older the audience skews, the more broadcast skews and less streaming. If you're under the age of 25, it's probably rare, at least in America, that you turn on a television and watch TV unless if you're in any major city. If you are in a rural area, um, where you don't have high speed internet, you don't have high speed, you know, or fiber optic run, you're going to have a much higher chance of being on television than when you're living in New York or LA or DC and there's high speed internet everywhere. What you're going to see is you're going to see each year as this report comes out, you're going to see CTV growing and you're going to see broadcast shrinking. So my thought is, right now, these numbers can be misleading. It makes you go, "Oh, nobody's actually on streaming. CTV is not that big a deal." No, it is. It's just it's very dependent and it's very age dependent. So once again, it comes back to who's your audience and making sure you're getting in front of your audience. And if your audience is on streaming, you need to be streaming. You need to be on CTV as well. If your audience is watching broadcasts, well, then maybe you want to look at some other strategies. Jumping down, assessing reach requires granular data. A key challenge marketers face with respect to investing in CTV is the level of granularity needed to assess reach and performance. Reach, a top KPI among marketers in the quest for ROI, is far more complicated in CTV than linear because of the commingled nature of the platform and campaign IDs and measurement data. Through that lens, it's not surprising that only 31% of global marketers say they're very confident measuring the ROI of their CTV investments. Wow, that's I do understand the challenge. It is harder to measure um, KPIs when it comes to CTV and streaming, but for only 31% of global marketers say they're confident measuring the ROI, the other 69% of them are probably then wasting money if they don't know what they're doing with it. Kind of scary. With a focus on understanding reach within CTV campaigns, Nielsen recently used Nielsen One ads to conduct a categorization coding initiative to separate the traditional network content delivered through an internet connection, digital network TV content from the other online video. From there, we selected a sample of 230 campaigns at random to reach success levels. Okay, so once again, the challenge here, how Nielsen data, not looking at this Nielsen report, but in generally, Nielsen is the gold standard for broadcasting for the data around that for household data. How they do it is they go by number of households with a TV in them, and then number of hours on a day, time of day, this, that. And they've gotten to the point where they have an exact science of TV watchers. It's not there yet with CTV. It'll get there. Right now, though, you can also use a lot of holistic campaign measurement stuff to see your value. Look at how much you're putting into your CTV campaigns. Make sure you're using vanity URLs with that are obviously set up with very good tagging and tracking, and you can still get a decent idea. Not a decent idea. You get a really, really good idea of your ROI on your CTV campaigns if you just put a little work into it. Travel diversity helps campaign reach. At a very high level, our analysis found that targeted reach was very low among campaigns that weren't dispersed across channels. Across a small portion of campaigns with concentration of 85% or more in other online video content, for example, the highest target reach was campaigns that heavily invested in digital network TV content had similar results. Reach increased when campaigns were more dispersed and included digital network TV and traditional TV buys. Across 230 CTV campaigns, only two brands were able to achieve 90% reach. So, how did they get 90% reach? That's a solid reach number. Focused on two things: scale and highly dispersed campaign. Achieving reach in CTV requires dispersed media buys. How two brands achieve 90% reach. Brand A, okay, went 18 to 49, hit 93% reach, 115 networks and platforms. Okay, yep, and attained 2,819 gibbers. Kitty, you need to stop doing that to me, okay? I am trying to talk here. So let's see what they did here. We have DNTVs, which are digital network TVs, OOVs, other online video. So connected TV, yeah, 19 buys on connected, 9 buys on other online video connected TV, uh, 12 buys across desktop digital network, another 13 buys across other online video, 12 buys on mobile, 13 buys on mobile other, and then 87 linear buys. And if you look at brand B, a little lower across the board, but 62 linear buys. So yeah, to hit these reach numbers, they're just doing massive buys. Would you stop digging your claws into my arm, cat? It's not very nice of you. Okay. Although you are very cute. Underinvesting hurts ROI potential. Scale is an important call out as data from Nielsen predictive ROI databases has found that 50% of brands don't invest enough in media to achieve their maximum ROI. Across channels, brands underinvest most on digital video by 66%, followed by digital display 6%. Globally, underspend is highest in Latin America and lowest in Europe. Underspending is a very interesting one. When with the models these days, um, all the platforms can basically do predictive modeling. They can pretty much tell you your reach, your frequency, how much money you can put in to achieve what, and at what point you cap what you can, your performance. And there's a lot of economies of scale in marketing. Um, as you look at those, almost every campaign that you see people run is underfunded, if you will, meaning the platform, what it could deliver based on your KPIs and the results you are looking for. In most cases, most people can't afford to run a campaign that can hit everyone it wants to hit and do everything it wants to do. And the common approach to that is people just put less money in and figure they get, you know, they're just not going to get all the results they possibly can. I think it's a bit of a mistake. And what it is there's a number of factors. One, there's economies of scale. Cheaper your individual results get, right? Like with everything, the more you're willing to invest in it, the better rates you're going to get. When you're doing digital advertising as well, the more you put in, the more that it affects the algorithms directly for your optimization, et cetera, based on your budgets. And so the more money you put in, you're just going to get better economies of scale. You're going to get results. And beyond that, it's not just though about economies of scale. It's about making sure you're hitting the right targets the right number of times type thing. So if there's 100 people, let's say, in your that you can hit from a platform, just use a nice round number, and you're going to hit 10%, you're only going to get 10 of them. The problem is the next time you go to run a campaign on that channel and you do that again, you don't know which 10 you're going to get. Are you going to get the same 10 10% of people? Are you going to hit a new 10% of people? Is it going to be 10% that have never seen it before? Is there going to be anything there? When you're doing digital media, you want to look at reach. You also want to look at frequency. You don't want to hit a person with an ad one time and never again. If you do that, the odds of your message sticking with them are going to be quite low. You want a higher frequency. Frequencies are generally set on both a daily and a weekly, and sometimes even a lifetime over the flight. And you want to hit enough times to keep something fresh in someone's mind and not so much that you're annoying. Well, when you are hitting a small subset of your audience group, it makes it a lot harder to get that repetition because if you're hitting 10% of that audience, even if you're hitting with decent frequency, let's say you start a new flight on that month later with a new budget and everything else. Are you going to hit those same people at all? Are you going to be increasing the frequency you had on them? Are you going to be getting new people? Also, are you going to just be spread so thin that you're going to hit 100 people once versus 10 people 10 times? Those are all things you want to factor in if you're not maxing out budgets. And where I think a lot of people make a mistake is they don't do any extra steps. They just put a smaller budget in. One of the things you could do is fake it. Reduce your audience size by tightening your audience. And generally, the smaller the budget, the tighter you're going to want your audience, anyways. But tighten up your audience until you're getting to the point where your budget is hitting is a larger percentage, let's say, of that total availability within your audience. Shrink your audience. If you only have money to afford 10 people, don't make an audience of 100. Make your audience an audience of 10 or 11. And once again, you're going to get the effects of repetition, of all that kind of stuff. You're going to make sure you're getting in front of people. You're going to have very tight targeting on a smaller budget. And then you can also then, when you're going on to your next campaign, reuse that exact same audience to stay with the same set of people, or you can expand from there back into that larger one as you have more budget. So there's ways around it, but this doesn't surprise me that underspending is rampant because it is. And mind you, it's for good reason. Most people can't afford to spend what you can spend on digital channels. I've worked with small businesses that think that spending 2,000, 3,000 a month on PPC is a fortune. And yet there's other companies that are spending 50,000, 100,000 a day on things. And then you start wondering, well, gee, why is my budget not able to hit that much? There's so many people out there and the targeting's gotten so good that the average widget with a fairly narrow audience, I would argue, can probably still handle at least 1,000 to 2,000 a day in digital advertising, bare minimum, no matter almost what it is. And that's where you're going to run into those issues of under um, spending a campaign. And so you really want to get your targeting really tight to shrink that audience so that the amount is proportional to the audience size. I think that's really the trick, making sure that your budget fits the audience. Okay, understand channel effectiveness across objectives. While audiences are consuming media across multiple channels at once, very few channels are able to deliver on both short and long term goals. Globally, only 36% of channels perform above average for delivering both sales and brand building. This percentage varies by region, rising to 42% in Asia Pacific and dropping 20% in the Americas. Once again, that drop in the Americas you're seeing in that larger number in Asia is due to the just sheer number of platforms and diversity of platforms people are on. Only 36% of media channels perform above average for both sales and awareness. Okay. Like ROI benchmarks, channel effectiveness averages will vary at the brand level. Generally, however, digital display, social media, full funnel effectiveness, and other channels. Comparatively, print is the least likely to deliver for brand and sales metrics. So, print, I think, is getting a unfair rap here. The reason print is going, it won't deliver sales metrics too much because for how the sales work these days is for most companies, most brands, is you click on a link, you go and you make a purchase online. It's kind of hard to click on a print ad. So then you need to put a QR code or something like that. And now you have an extra step of someone taking out their phone and scanning. People are lazy. If you're looking at something in print and you see an ad, and even if it's a good ad, if there's an extra step of pick up your phone, look at it and click, you're more likely than not going to go, you know what? I'll look it up when I'm at my computer later, or look it up when I'm doing this or that later. than you are to scan that QR code because you got to then pick up your phone, you got to go to the camera, you got to hold it over, you got to line it up, then you got to click the button. It's a lot of work for people, you know. They don't want to do it. Now, to say that print is bad for brand, I disagree. I think print is one of the greatest places for brand always has been and always will be. When it's in print, it lives forever. You can physically see it, it's tangible. Um, and this is really not you know what this is? I know where that number comes from. These numbers are from a poll of marketers. And marketers these days do very little print advertising compared to, days past. And so not many people are putting stuff on print. I would say that less than 10% of clients are even using print at all. So I don't think it's below average at brand as far as its effectiveness. I think it's far below average as far as its utilization. Putting your brand into print is still as valid as it ever was. Now, mind you, print as a medium is still dying. Newspapers aren't what they used to be. Newsletters aren't what they used to be. Not too many people are getting magazine subscriptions to their home anymore. So it is slowing down in that sense. But as far as the effect of the medium itself, if you get it in front of people, it's still a solid medium. Digital display, no surprise there that that's high. That's pretty much that's everywhere you see an ad online. Effectively, outside of search terms, is display. So when you're on a website and you see the banners pop up, those are all digital display. Not surprised to see those are big for both brand building and for driving action. They are the number one form of advertising online. Digital video. Digital video is still underutilized, and most people don't know how to use it properly. Um, Digital video ads can be incredible. They can build a brand, they can sell a product, they can do almost anything you want them to do, but you got to have good quality video. A lot of people are half-assing their video ads. Go get a good production company, put together a good ad. Mind you, if you're a startup, you're a small company, you're just, trying to get going, sure, go out there as a lone creative, make your own ads. But if you're running a big company, get good ads. Stop using these stupid little, ads where you've got some stock photo with some music and a couple of words that pop up on screen. They don't do anything. You got to tell a story with them. And for a good digital video ad, to tell a story with a good digital video ad, it's not as simple as you just write a quick script, shoot an ad, and you're done. The best video ads have producers, directors, creative directors who write storyboard it. You have script writers who write a script. You have a director that puts the pieces together. You have a storyline to it. You get actors. You do a shoot. You literally make the equivalent of a 6, 15, 30 second or minute, depending on what length you're shooting. Usually, when you shoot it, you shoot all the above and then you could trim. But you're shooting as a full little story, a full little movie. It's more than just an ad if you want it to be good and you want it to work. There's some incredible digital video ads out there, and there's some just absolutely awful. And then there's a lot of people trying to do it cheap and easy. And the more those flood the market, the more the better productions are going to stand out. Out of home, once again, great for brand building. For sales, it's very much dependent on, in my opinion, on what your product is. An out of home ad selling pizza is going to do better than an out-of-home ad selling, widgets for your car. Um, it's just a matter of what you're selling. But out-of-home's always been a good channel. I said print, I think, is undervalued, underrepresented. Radio. Radio is a channel that still gets forgotten a lot these days. Not too many people are using it. Not nearly as many people as probably should be. Um, it's a very, very cost-effective channel for mass reach. For a fairly low price, you can get in front of a ton of people using radio and radio shows. Social, yep, obviously everyone says social's great. And then the linear TV. I think I find that actually interesting. While linear TV is obviously still a very effective channel, I didn't expect it to be this strong. I thought For brand, it would definitely be above average. For sales, I thought it'd be kind of the middle, but yeah, I guess 56% of people say it's above average at both. I'm not going to argue that. It is definitely very good. 20% of people, though, say that linear TV is below average at brand only, which to me is just weird because linear TV is where brand only was launched to stardom, if you will. I mean, when print came out, we started with getting advertising in the papers. When TV hit, it was funded by advertising. That's where brands were made. I mean, most of our TV shows back in the day were sponsored by brands. So either way, moving on. Understanding marketing's long-term influence on sales. As a U.S. insurance company set out to understand, a U.S. insurance company set out to understand the strength of its marketing efforts across channels, campaigns, and KPIs. Aware of economic uncertainty, the company knew that if it wanted to safeguard its marketing investments, it would need to validate them both in the present and the future. The company listed Nielsen to use real time spending data to model quotes and items for new and existing customers as well as renewals. With the use of Nielsen long term effects analysis, the company was able to prove that its marketing efforts generate more than 31% increase in incremental sales over the long term. This is cute. This is Nielsen putting its own little pitch in right here for itself for its long term effects analysis. It's a part of their marketing mix modeling that helps brands understand long-term ROI of their marketing investments. So there you go. If you need a marketing mix modeling, Nielsen has one available. Takeaway: long-term ROI is a brand's top priority, reaching and engaging new audiences is essential. Leaning too heavily into just few channels can mean that you miss out on those fresh audiences. That's why a cross-media approach that understands the correlation between channels and outcomes is critical in media planning. Two considerations when developing a cross media strategy. One, marketers can't reach all of their intended audiences through a single channel. 90% reach is P&G's goal, and the company's chief brand officer makes it clear that media precision in reaching people is job number one, complemented by ad effectiveness and optimum efficiency. Two, when massive scale is not feasible, person level audience data can help marketers ensure that their campaigns, regardless of channel, are as pinpoint as possible. Yes, going back to basically what I was talking about a few minutes ago. So let's look at these 2 points real quickly. P&G, Procter& and Gamble, their company's chief brand officer makes it clear that media precision in reaching people is job number one. Yes, getting in front of the right people, right person, right message, right place, right time, right? Getting that right place is just so important because if you have the greatest message in the world and you deliver it to the wrong people, it's not going to do anything for you. And then you also tie into a second thing. You might say, but wait, if you can hit all the right people, but it's a bad message, isn't that a waste? Well, it's not a complete waste ever if you hit the right people. The thing is, if you hit the right people, you come back to the old, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Even if you have a bad message, you get in front of the right people, you're still going to hit them with your brand. You're still going to make an impression, whether it's the efficacy is really what's going to change based on the ad itself you hit them with. And that's where getting in front of them is number one. And then number two is good ads and higher efficiency. Um, and the second thing, single channel. Lots of campaigns. I see a lot of people just focus on a channel. Let's start on a channel. Let's start on a channel. We're going to work on this channel. We're going to grow from this channel. They think in terms of channels. Stop thinking in terms of channels. Think in terms of audiences. Where's my audience? It doesn't matter what channel they're on. It matters where your audience is. If your audience is on a single channel, go ahead and use that single channel, but most audiences aren't. They're on multiple channels. And you want to make sure you're on the channels your audience is on. That's how you get in front of them. If you're going mass scale campaigns, sure, you can put yourself across everything. But if you're not, and most people aren't, then don't ever go, what channel do I want to be on? Say, what audience do I want to reach? And then ask yourself where that audience is. And that's how you find your channels. And then, secondly, coming back here to number two, kind of like what I was talking about a bit ago, if you don't have the dollars and cents to hit everyone, to hit your whole audience, you're only going to say 10% of it, shrink your audience. This person level audience data can help ensure campaigns, regardless of channel, are as pinpoint as possible. What that's talking about is that's about shrinking that audience. It's about defining your audience even more tightly than you did to make it fit your budget better. CMOs understand the value of their team's work and the risk of divestment. But when advocating for budget, they need to speak the same language as CFOs. That means understanding the KPIs they care about, considering marketing plans and measurement strategies that deliver on those metrics, of course. Okay. The disconnect between insights and execution. Just going to wrap this up real quickly. I don't think we need to spend too much more time on it. Most marketers don't measure holistic ROI. Compared with a year ago, global marketers express significantly more confidence in their marketing technologies' ability to measure their ROI of holistic marketing efforts. On average, 84% say they're either extremely or very confident in their ROI measurement capabilities, up from 69% in 2023. Confidence is highest in Latin America, it's 90 and lowest in North America. However, only 38% of global marketers say they evaluate the holistic ROI of their digital marketing efforts by measuring traditional and digital together. The very fact that 84% of global marketers say they're extremely or very confident in the holistic ROI capabilities of their marketing technology, I call bullshit on that. In all my years in marketing, I have met a literal only handful of marketers that are actually truly confident in the ROI of their marketing. Maybe they're I would want to see how this question was worded. Maybe they're talking about their marketing technology. Because yeah, if you're using the major digital ad platforms, you can get a pretty good feel for your ROI in the sense of, oh, I use Google Ads and Google Ads. If you set it all up properly, which most people don't, with your tagging and tracking, you get all the way back. You can see your conversions, yada yada yada, and you can start putting dollars to dollars. Most people don't have stuff set up right. Most people aren't good at it, and most of them aren't factoring in the right stuff. They'll factor in that individual platform spend, but they're not factoring in the dollars and cents of the rest of the campaign. They're not factoring in creative costs. They're not factoring in third party audience costs. They're not. There's so many things I see missed in the forensic accounting of marketing, if you will. Um, that I just even if 84% of global marketers say they're extremely confident in the holistic ROI capabilities of their technology, 84% of global marketers are not delivering ROI numbers. I can put it that way. So maybe they can measure it better now, or they think they can with their channels, but they're not reporting it and they're not doing a true value of marketing, at least not to the level that any CFO is going to be happy with. Very few and far between. Measure digital ROI. And even here, when they're saying they measure their digital spending ROI, most people, it's probably just saying that, they know their budget. They could tell you their cost per click, their cost per milli, their, cost per conversion, et cetera. And then they could show you their number of conversions, their costs, and then their, ROAS from a platform. But that's still leaving out a lot of the factors in the finances of a campaign. I'm going to take that one with a grain of salt. Measurement blind spots can misattribute ROI. There are three possible reasons for the gap between MarTech confidence and tactical execution: varied definitions of full funnel measurement, insufficient MarTech capability knowledge, a lack of resources to evaluate and or communicate the data to stakeholders. Mismatch creates blind spots in measurement that will contribute to misattribution and likely underestimation of the true impact of brand marketing efforts. Perhaps more enlightening, however, is the sentiment about tools marketers have for measuring full funnel. Okay, so they are talking just about the tools, I guess. They lean on media metrics for holistic ROI, even though KPI measurements like reach, click through rate, cost per click don't provide insight beyond initial audience engagement. Comparatively, only 56% use marketing mix modeling, which is more focused on marketing outcomes. Yeah. So it is what I was talking about. They're it's marketers feel comfortable in pulling the numbers out of the tools they use. They're not doing actual budgeting P&L. They're not actually looking at the true finances of their marketing campaigns and determining efficacy and true return dollar for dollar. Only 30% of global marketers cite MMM as their preferred method of measuring holistic ROI. That's kind of sad. You would think that most people would prefer it, whether they're doing it or not. But I think that's because most people just don't quite understand it. Marketers have this terrible, well deserved reputation of being all about look how many people we got in front of, not look how we moved the bottom line. And until marketers start thinking in terms of bottom line, they are never going to get that seat at the table they want so badly. How marketers measure campaign impact. Tactically, marketing mix modeling is the most prevalent option among global marketers for measuring holistic ROI. The only downside is that nearly half don't use or have access to MMM tools. We also see misalignment in marketer stated approaches across media measurement. As only 67% say they're focused on reach frequency and ROI. Yeah. Well, once again, marketers are really bad at justifying themselves and doing their numbers. There's a couple of good ones out there, but not too many, and it's a lot of work to do it properly. But if you look at the attribution here, see here it is: measurement tools available to evaluate holistic ROI, media metrics, reach, CPM, CPC, CTR, and video views. Those don't tell you a damn thing about the effectiveness of your media. Those are vanity metrics, in my opinion. When you're looking at reach, CPM, CPC, and CTR, and video views, to me, that's pure vanity metrics. The only metrics that matter, all said and done, it's not that they don't matter at all. I mean, there's a value to it, of course, especially in the longer term stuff. But the metrics that really matter that you're not seeing here is revenue, conversions, conversion rate, cost per conversion. Marketing mix modeling, we got a few people, it looks like around, you know, globally, just over half. Brand lift. Over half of people are doing brand lift. Brand lift studies are generally that I've seen, it's people doing a prepackaged brand lift study either through like YouTube. If you're ever on YouTube, you see the ads and it goes, quick survey question. Which of these have you heard of? Yada yada. Those are for brand lift studies. They do one at the beginning of a campaign. YouTube will do it again at the end of a campaign to people exposed to the ads and they'll see the change. It's not a true brand lift study in the sense that it's not a like large controlled study with good statistical significance as a general rule. They tend to, if you're running a really big campaign, you can definitely get stat sig. But in general, those brandless studies are more feel good studies than they are actually things to make big decisions on. Sales lift, very similar concept. Surveys, I think, are highly underutilized. The beauty of surveys is you get quantitative data, and you can get it both from around quantitative issues and qualitative issues. You get to quantify qualitative data, um, and I think they're just hideously underutilized. And then attribution. Here we go. Attribution at the end of the day is, I would argue, one of the most important things. Let's see what we can attribute to our marketing. 26% global average. Nobody's doing it. Alternatives for ROI visibility to MMM. Measurement tools most used. Media metrics, brand lift. Yeah. Yeah. Cost efficient forecasting tool that pulls from Nielsen's extensive database to provide brands with immediate visibility and anticipated ROI of their efforts even before the campaigns launch. You could do that without a fancy tool too, as long as you have a little bit of historical data or some benchmarks to work from. You can always do some backwards math. But yeah, not surprising. Marketers are terrible at telling their marketing story in a dollars and cents perspective, and they need, if, as I said before, if they can't tie to a bottom line, they're never going to get the seat at the table they want. ROI case study predicting impact to unlock optimizations. Well aware that the creator economy is booming, yet unclear on the ROI of influencer marketing. Whaler, a global company that unlocks the power of creators for its brand clients, enlisted Nielsen to help measure incrementality and ROI of creator-specific campaigns. Nielsen's ROI capability gave Whaler clients visibility into the anticipated ROI of their media plans. This insight uncovered opportunities to optimize before campaigns even launched. Nielsen Analytics Solutions revealed findings across 6 measured campaigns. The average ROAS, 263 per dollar spent. It's not actually a great ROAS. The average ROAS was 9% higher, 243, than a previous in study, confirming the comparability of pure ROI, that's their version, I think, here, with MMM analysis. Historical advertising plans were underinvested by approximately 75%. I said most campaigns are underinvested, but once again, tailor your audience, that underinvestment won't be as big of a deal. These results help Whaler clients improve their ROIs by optimizing weekly paid media weight levels and the length of time on air flights, as well as allocating resources to maximize the potential of their creator marketing campaigns. Cool. Seems like a pretty small return, though. The takeaway. The reason I'm saying that this 263 per dollar spent, that just feels small. I don't remember exactly, but I think like the average is generally like a 6 to 1. And I know campaigns I've run in scale anywhere from a $10,000 campaign up to about a like a $25 million campaign, they range between 4 to 12x ROI. So that your return per dollar spent has that return on ad spend. I've found campaigns that I've run have generally been right between $4 to $12 per dollar spent. $12 is a little unusual, but in the $6 to $8 range is very common when you're doing any kind of scale whatsoever. So this just feels a little small to me. Takeaway: despite marketers' stated confidence in a holistic ROI measurement, assurance shifts dramatically when you drill down to the channel level. For example, less than half of global marketers we surveyed said they are very confident in their social media ROI measurement. Once again, that's sad that 50% of marketers. Here's the deal: 100% of marketers are advertising just about or using social media. Yet only half of them are very confident in their ROI measurement of social media. That means that half of them are doing it right and the other half are wasting money. It's not acceptable. That doesn't fly in any other field. Imagine if it said, for example, less than half, 49% of global doctors we surveyed said they are very confident in, measuring the effectiveness of their surgeries. Yeah, marketers, take your job seriously, people. We're professionals. If less than half aren't confident in your social media ROI measurement, figure it out. Google it. There's some answers out there, people. Go back to school. We got to get better at showing our value. Wow. There's a clear and urgent need to embrace a comprehensive media plan and measurement strategy. Your media spend efficacy depends on it, but getting there will require a transformative mindset and keen understanding of on the ground realities. Two considerations when adopting a cross media measurement strategy. One, digital media represents the future of how audiences will engage with content. However, many of these channels are walled gardens. Without interoperable solutions that work within these spaces, you'll never get the complete picture of performance. Okay. And two, the impact of a single ad exposure is a point in time. Once the time passes, its effects will fade. Brand perceptions aren't static or confined to a single point in time. That's why marketers need to reinforce their messages over time, adapting as needed to maintain the health of their brands. Ongoing measurement is critical in validating that health. I really like point two here. Um, Yeah, a single ad exposure is an individual point in time. And if a purchase decision is not made in that very point in time, then you didn't get a sale from that necessarily. But it doesn't mean all is lost. What about you could get the sale tomorrow? Well, you can, but usually not unless someone's nudged again. You watch an ad and you go, oh my gosh, that's a cool widget. I want one. You'll do one of two things. You'll either click and buy now, the impulse buy, boom, purchase. Well, most products, most widgets aren't impulse buys. Sure, there's lots of, but most of the your advertisers aren't selling impulse buys. You're going to want to learn more about it. So, what do? You go, oh, I'm going to research that, but then you never get around to it because it was an ad, and you go on and you watch the rest of your video or go read the rest of your web page. You don't come back to it. So, how do you get to that person? You only hit them that one single time. Well, that's where frequency comes into play. You want to make sure your audience, you have enough budget, and small enough audience that you can have a frequency. So that same person who saw that, let's say I saw that right now this morning before I jumped on the stream. I was looking through, I saw an ad. I go, oh my gosh, that's cool. We'll come back to that later. By the time the stream's over, I've forgotten about that. Let's say, lunchtime rolls around. I eat my lunch. I come sit down after lunch. I should be getting served that ad again. If I get served that ad again, I'll go, oh, forgot about that. Yeah, I should check that out. And this time I might even open in another tab. I'm probably still not going to make a purchase decision yet. Usually it takes, 6, 7 exposures or something, but it'll start building on that, right? They're points in time, but they build on each other. If I show you something once, you're not going to remember it forever. But if I show you that same thing again, you're going to remember it better than you did the first time you saw it. And if I show it to you once, it's better than never showing you at all. I show it to you twice, it's better than once. 3 times is better than twice, etc. You do hit a upper end on frequency to where you just annoy people. Um, I mean, if you push them too far, you can literally drive someone straight to the ad blocker, which you want to avoid. But it's something over time, and this is also something we talked more about yesterday. But this is why brand marketing is also so important. Brand marketing is just about hitting people with that single exposure to your brand repeatedly so it sticks in their mind. And if you do that often enough and long enough, people just you become a household name. They remember you. And you don't have to buy their products for that to be the case. For example, I buy a Coca-Cola product only a couple of times a year. When I have a barbecue, I buy Coke and I'll buy them every now and again. I'll grab a soda. I'm just not a big soda drinker, right? Yet I know the brand. Why? I've been exposed to it enough times that I remember it. Now that when you say, yeah, but you also see their cans here and there, so sure, that's also all part of the marketing. What if let's go to a digital product that I don't use? Um, well, take a look at all the because I work in the high tech industry in SaaS. The algorithms have pegged me as someone who's interested in SaaS products and high tech. So I get all the SaaS ads all the time and the high tech ads. I'm going to make those purchases, but you know what I do? See, I start seeing brands repeating. And when you start to see those brands repeating, you start to remember who those brands are. And then if I was in the market for those products, when it is time to go buy them, when I go from that 3% in buying, you go from that 97% who's not in buying mode into that 3% that is currently in buying mode. I'm going to go for the brand I'm most familiar with and I know the most about. So, very important point. Marketers, great balancing act. The media landscape won't get any less complex anytime soon. No, it's going to get more complex. Marketers will have to figure out how to balance conversion focused initiatives with long term brand building needs. Yes, that's the age old issue. Um, One of the biggest problems that we're currently seeing, though, is the brands themselves pushing back and saying, we don't need brand. We just need quick wins, current revenue. And it's a scary proposition. As with many industry terms and phrases, long term can mean different things to different people. The same can be true about evaluating long term impact. Some may lean on downstream purchases that result from conversions or previous brand exposures. Others may opt to analyze the impact that their marketing has on driving brand equity metrics like consideration and purchase intent. Rather than choosing one or the other, these approaches work best when they work together. More effective measurement will require an integrated effort to review both in tandem. Marketers need to measure the impact of downstream purchases as well as how consumers' perceptions are affected by marketing exposures and how they're sustained over time. Doing this right requires a cross media mindset. Bursting out of silos ensures you're spending where it counts and measuring full funnel impact lets you succeed today and tomorrow. Completely true. Integrated marketing is where it's at. If you're just doing digital, you're just doing traditional, just doing anything specific, it's a recipe for failure. Integrated marketing, you need to be hitting it from all different directions. And once again, it also has to just be tuned to your audience. If your audience is on 3 platforms, you need to be on 3 platforms. If your audience is on 10 platforms, you need to be on 10 platforms. If your audience is on one platform, then you better figure out who your audience actually is because there's no audience that's only on one platform. Get smarter. Okay, so that's all said and done. This was the sixth annual marketing report from Nielsen. I hope you guys enjoyed that walkthrough. I'm going to find the link to where you can download this. Nielsen AMR. Where is it? Nielsen. Da-da-da-da-da. Nielsen. Where are you? Annual. Find a link for people here. Annual marketing report. There it is. We'll even click their ad. Let them think it's working. Actually, let's not. I'll click their ad, but let's get the standard link for everyone else, and that will help them hopefully in their tracking be able to figure out if anyone ever goes there where it came from. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw that into the comments. If you enjoyed this, please go check it out. You do have to fill out a form to download the report. I am not affiliated with Nielsen in any way. I've always enjoyed their marketing reports and wanted to share it with you guys. So there should be a link in the chat. It looks like it definitely posted to YouTube. Don't know whether or not it posted to LinkedIn. Um, but I will make sure I add it on there as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Goodbye.